Welcome to Bent TV. We have a smorgasbord of fantastic stuff on tonight's show. Our first segment is In the Thick of It, hosted by Sammy. The guest is Christian Vega, and we are talking about the importance of sex worker visibility. Sounds very interesting. See you after this.
Welcome to Bent TV, In the Thick of It. I am Sammy Whitehead. I'm very pleased to be joined today by Christian Vega. Welcome.
Hi.
Now we're going to be talking about a variety of different things today. The importance of the visibility of sex workers. Now you've involved in this amazing project on Joy 94.9 called the Vixen Hour. Tell me how this little project started.
Well, the Vixen Hour is sort of, I guess, the end product, well, the latest, I guess, initiative that I'm involved with in giving sex workers a voice and finding a safe space for us to be publicly visible and engage in a dialogue with the broader community, not just the queer community, but the broader community as a whole. So for me, I've been a sex worker for a really long time. It's been about 15 years now. And sort of in the last 5 years have been looking at being very active around working towards greater rights for sex workers and other people in my community. And I guess being part of the gay community, some of the lessons I'd learnt as being a queer person is the importance of being out and how much that can be linked to, I guess, working towards greater rights and recognitions as part of the broader community. So, you know, I'd done things like write a lot of blog posts and appeared in media of various types, just being as out as I could be to get that sex worker voice out there. And I guess the radio show, the Vixen Hour, is kind of the latest I guess, iteration of that attempt to get the sex worker voice out there and heard.
Because it's something that we see portrayed through media, through film, and over the years we've developed a little bit more of understanding, but it's still an industry that we don't understand the nuts and bolts on how it works, and it's always had this very dirty underground undertone about it. And I suppose that's one of the things that you face every week on the show, being able to bring a voice to the community.
Absolutely. One of the things that we play every week on our show, that we say is everybody has an opinion about sex work. We would like that opinion to be an informed one. And you know, traditionally people have relied on academics or the media or the arts to inform that opinion, but really that's not an accurate reflection. And if you don't have a genuine understanding of the actual people and communities that are involved, it's not a real we don't feel like it's a real understanding, so we would rather people listen to the voices of sex workers ourselves. Now, traditionally, sex work is such a highly stigmatised community that to be able to safely project our voice has been a very, very rare opportunity. So, you know, one of the things that I thought I would do is try to create that opportunity for sex workers to engage in that dialogue, but in a very, very safe way. And radio, there are very unique aspects of radio that that allow us to do that.
And also gives you the opportunity, because there are some great voices within the sex work industry, but people that aren't actually out themselves to their family and friends, and radio is one of those mediums that it gives them that chance to have their voice, the visibility and visibility to them, and then still being able to keep their privacy as well.
And it's one of the things that we talked about on our radio show is you know, the choice to be out. Because as the queer community, you know, we kind of accept that coming out is a natural part of everybody's journey. However, we can only think that because where we live at the moment, in the time that we're in, you know, it's a very safe space for people to be allowed to do that. The world isn't that safe though for sex workers, so it's still sex workers still have to make a choice about coming out. So, you know, radio provided us the perfect medium to talk about those issues. We talked to someone who hadn't come out at all, and that was a very safe way for her to have that discussion and share that story, but still, you know, not completely compromise her safety. But on the other hand, if people want to be out, they can choose to be as out as they want to be.
And I suppose one of those ways is being able to break down those barriers is understanding the language. When we talk about sex workers, we are talking about people that are paid to have sex. And over the years, there's been a lot of stigma of the actual labels that we've given sex workers, from hookers to prostitutes to harlots to whores. And we're now using a language which is an acceptable language, which helps that visibility.
Absolutely. So the United Nations, of all public bodies,
I know, right?
Made the recommendation that to talk about sex work in a very scientifically accurate and objective way that respects human rights. And so their direction was to use the term sex workers, because it takes away all of that bias and all of, I guess, the meanings that other people who have an agenda about sex work have loaded into words like prostitute. So you'll hear anti-sex work advocates, or people who are trying to abolish sex work, or people who don't respect the rights of sex workers will use terms like prostitute or prostituted women, because they don't want to recognise that sex work is actually work, that it is still the victimisation of women. But we've heard, the more and more we allow sex worker voices to be heard, we're seeing a lot more challenges to that concept, and that sex work doesn't have to be exploitative, it doesn't have to be degrading, it doesn't have to be a violation of human rights or violence against women. It can be an empowering occupation for a lot of people if we actually recognise it as a choice.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a lot of what we try to do.
And it is also one of those industries above many others. When we talk about equality for women in the workplace, it is an industry which empowers women a lot more than any other workplaces for that equality as well.
Absolutely. I find it quite interesting that, you know, there is a strong voice within feminism that is anti-sex work, yet it's one of the only industries where women are paid more than men. Like, you know, so there's a lot of talk about, you know, pay equality in the broader community, and how, you know, that there's an inherent sexism in the way that, you know, money is distributed in everybody else's occupation. But in sex work, where the tables are actually turned, people aren't willing to accept that as a win for feminism. So yeah, it's an interesting situation. And I guess that hyper-consciousness around issues like choice and consent, and particularly things around exploitation and degradation, there has been such an awareness of that, for example, laws are written to reflect that as well. So in Victoria, it says that, you know, you're allowed to be a sex worker, but it must be your own choice, which we kind of find a bit patronising, because of course we would do it if it was a choice, but if it wasn't, we wouldn't. So yeah, it kind of works on the assumption that we can't make that choice. But I think we've demonstrated more than not that we can.
Christian, it's wonderful to have you in here on Bent TV with me. Go and listen to the Vixen Hour on Joy 94.9, and also just, you know, there's so many great support networks as well out there for sex workers. Thanks, Vin. You've been with Sammy Whitehead on Bent TV, in the thick of it.
Boy, wasn't that fantastic. There'll be more Bent TV after this short break. See you soon. Welcome back to Bent TV. Next we have Squeal, hosted by Bent TV's own Sky High, and she is chatting with guests from Victoria's Secret, investigating alternative beauty pageants. Sounds very interesting. See you after this.
Y'all need to wash under y'all damn nuts.
Hi and welcome to Squeal. I'm Sky High. On tonight's show, we take a look at all things sequins, feathers, glamour, in a world of most of us heard of, but perhaps never really pushed the envelope and explored. Move over, honey boo boo. This is the world of the alternative beauty pageant. Now, I know I think of backstabbing, bitchiness and bad attitudes when I hear the word beauty pageant, but let's peel back some of the layers and meet some of the people that partake in these pageants. We may just discover the real personalities which can perhaps sometimes hide behind the makeup and the glitz. I'm joined by Victorian Secrets, the organiser of Miss Gay and Miss Transsexual Australia Beauty Pageant, which is an annual and very popular midsummer event. In the studio with me tonight, I have a few of the ensemble of this pageant. Please welcome Geisha, Charity and Norbert. So first up, Geisha, who is Victorian Secrets?
First of all, Sky, thank you for having us
You're very welcome.
this afternoon, and it's so good having on this fabulous show.
Thank you. Thank you
Yep.
all for coming.
Yes. So the Victorian Secrets Promotions is the organizer of the annual alternative pageant, Miss Gay and Miss Transsexual Australia, which has been running for the past 4 years now, here in Melbourne. It's actually based in Melbourne.
Okay, excellent.
And the Victorian Secrets aims to promote the transgender and the gay community for acceptance.
Excellent.
And
And what is the objective behind Victoria's Secrets and indeed the pageant itself within the GLBTIQ community?
It is actually basically to put people out there and show that there are transsexuals and they are part of the community as well. So it's not just part of sex workers, but actually part of the community. Some of them are doctors, lawyers. They actually hold good, steady jobs. So that's what it is. It's to make an awareness of the people that are actually out there and the good things, so that they are part of the community.
And let's be honest, who doesn't like to look fabulous like these two ladies
exactly.
here? So who can enter the Miss Gay and Miss Transsexual Beauty Pageant?
we have to explain that there's actually 2 categories in this alternative beauty pageant. It's for we crown Miss Gay, and we also have the Miss Transsexual. For the Miss Gay, anyone, gay guys, drag queens, anyone who's cross-dressing can join in the Miss Gay. Whereas for the Miss Transsexuals, Australia is for the transsexuals, the ladyboys, those that are actually already
Living as a girl.
living as a girl or transitioning towards being male to female.
And I do want to touch on that just a little
Yep.
bit more shortly.
Yep.
There are themes for each year's pageant.
Yes.
Can you give us some insights into what themes there are over the years?
National costume. There was national costume this year, which was very exciting. I think that was a new category, I believe.
Yes.
Everyone
When you say, sorry, national
National
we all
costume.
were assigned to pick a country to represent, and then we had to design a costume that was based
Yes.
around that culture.
Fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like the Miss Universe pageant. It's so different from the pageant that we normally have here, like the Miss Drag or something like that. We more or less pattern it to the Miss Universe. Like we have different. This year, we actually adopted like the candidates should more or less choose the country that they would like to represent.
Yes.
Not necessarily like they're coming from Thailand or the Philippines or Germany or something, but maybe they like to represent that country. So
So you're not
feel-
automatically assigned
Yeah.
to the country of origin.
No. So you have to more or less like, this is the one that I like to represent this country. And for example, Charity represented Germany this year, and so she developed her personality on Miss Germany as Miss German.
And
That's
your
right.
heritage or your background?
It's not German. It's
It's not
English,
German?
Irish, French, and Welsh. If
Yes.
you trace it a long way back. But I just
Yeah.
thought Germany would be a little bit more fun, a little bit more
Yeah.
interesting, and works
Yeah.
more with my character.
Exactly. So it's actually just give the pageant a little bit of, how do you call this? Oh my God,
Bit of
like
excitement, a bit of variety.
Variety, yeah.
Which leads me to my next
Exactly.
point. The pageant itself does attract a very diverse audience.
Exactly.
Obviously, it almost has a community feel and it's an event by itself. A friend who attended last year's event said that there was a whole lot of families with kids running around. Would you say that's true?
It is very, very true because it's not almost a community event. It is a community event itself, because we would like to really what we would like to do is to bring us the transex. I consider myself as in between, because as an organizer, I'm a drag queen in the
Yes.
first place, and then gay guy. But then dealing with all the transsexuals, all of a sudden I feel like being a transsexual already. You know what I mean? So this is bringing to the community the transsexuals, like awareness, So we try to involve everyone, like even my families, your friends, talking to them. And then we do it in community place like the Yarraville Community Club
Yes.
Center or something, and then it's, you know, anyone around the neighborhood would know that there's a pageant like this. Oh my God, you know, it's not just going to like Greyhound or, you know, some of the gay.
What we actually do, we actually
Yes.
take it out to the community.
Exactly, that's what we like
Last
to do.
year,
Yep.
the year before, we actually took it out to Doncaster Shopping Town
Yeah.
Hotel.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So it was out in the sticks almost, no offence,
Yep.
but it's out in the middle of almost nowhere.
Yes.
And we're trying to make the people aware and the community aware
Yep.
that we're actually there. We
Exactly.
actually went round, we put posters up, we
Yeah.
tried to get the community to come to the pageant.
What was the reaction like, say, at Doncaster Shopping Town?
Yeah, well, Doncaster is what I like to.
And I only used Doncaster, and you had mentioned it, obviously.
You know, with Yarraville, the first time we did it in Yarraville, there's even like a family that went there, as you said, and then with 3 kids running around, you know, because they can't leave their kids. Like the mother, they can't leave the kids in the house. They have to bring them there. But it's that's why we're doing it in a scene like that, so they can bring kids.
And
you know what I mean?
Charity, I have to ask you, if you're out and about, say, for example, at Doncaster Shopping Town, how do you feel about the exposure that you get? Are you comfortable putting it out there?
I'm fine with putting it out there now. And I wandered
Yeah.
up and down the street just before like this. It doesn't
Yeah.
bother me anymore. It used to when I was a bit younger, but I've kind of gotten over that. So I don't think Doncaster would be a big issue for me. You know, I've done this overseas as well, in countries where it's not sort of as acceptable. I just wander around, don't really care anymore.
And I think it's all about being comfortable
Exactly.
within who we are and
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
do and how we promote ourselves.
And the more exposure we actually
Yeah.
have, the more comfortable we actually
Yeah.
become.
And I
So-
think the pageant's getting
Yeah.
international recognition now as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, fantastic. Ladies
Yeah.
and Norbert, thank you very much for your time this evening. Please thank Norbert, Geisha and Charity.
Thank
We'll see you next time on
you.
Squeal.
I think we should all just do some cross-dressing. If you'd like to become part of Ben TV, please go to our website, bentv.org.au, and you can join up. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to Ben TV. We are now going Quedia, which investigates all things queer and media. Hosted by Steve, and tonight's guest is Lisa Sky, who is a stand-up comedian, most recently known for her show Songs My Parents Taught Me.
Good evening. Welcome to Ben TV. I'm Steve Pereira and welcome to Quedia, a show where we explore all things queer and everything media. We're an eclectic program, but hopefully we have electric results. Today we have with us a fantastic comedian who's lighting up our Melbourne stages, Lisa Diamond Sky.
Hi there.
Welcome
Hello.
and welcome to Ben TV.
It's wonderful to be here.
So what are you known as?
I'm known as Lisa Sky, or Daddy, depending on who's asking.
What does Daddy fit in?
Talk about it later.
Oh, interesting. Do you want to tell us about your new show?
Yes, it's called Songs My Parents Taught Me. It is about sex and drugs in the 70s versus modern day hedonism. Basically, my parents had a ridiculous life in the 70s, and they tell me all these stories about them and their friends. And I'm kind of inadvertently living the life that they and their mates lived, except with a lot more lady sex. So it's really interesting to see what has changed from now, because think about it, it's like, what, 40 years ago in the 70s? And not a lot is different.
But that's interesting. You talk about today's hedonism versus the sex, drugs, and rock and roll that came out in the 70s. If you were to say one point of difference, what would that be?
Twitter.
Twitter. And how's that changed?
And the
things?
internet. I love the internet so much. Well, I get a lot of my trade from the internet because I'm a champion. I think.
Well, what do you mean by trade?
Well, you know, ladies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why
and
the trade?
other chew toys. I don't know. I don't really go for gender. Because it's easier. Because so I have a soulmate, right?
Yep.
So that's locked in.
Yep.
Love each other forever.
Male, female.
Male, cisgendered male. Yeah.
What does that mean?
What? In that he was born a gentleman and wants to stay a gentleman, which I don't get because, I kind of flip. I like to be post-gender.
All right.
Everything all the time.
So what's the problem with him being gentle or the man bit?
Cisgendered, No. So he's a boy. So I'm married to him,
Okay.
and he's wonderful.
Yep.
But I'm also polyamorous, so I also get to, because there's lots of things that I want to do at someone that I don't want to do at him, because I don't want to break him. He's lovely.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, but there are some people I do want to break. In a lovely way. So yeah, it's the internet has just made that really easy now, because you can say, hey, you know, this is what I'm after, this is what I'm like, and this is my politics, and then people can say, yeah, I'm also like that, and yeah, you don't get as many horrible people.
Now, glittery drag queen in a tubby goth real girl's body. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
It is.
What does it mean?
It's a lot of fun. It means that I kind of identify as, because I've never really felt like an actual lady person. I think maybe because I'm a B cup, because, you know, don't let these fool you. It's like padded for about 6 cups.
They're amazing.
Aren't they? The only problem is that they're totally fake. So when I have a corset on and my padded bra and I'm making out with someone, I'm like, oh, I'm a totally different shape after this. So when I'm wearing the corset and the padded bra, or my mosh pit armour, as I like to call it, yeah, I can only ever wear it around people who've either seen me naked or won't see me naked.
That's an interesting dilemma.
It's a femlemma. But yeah, so anyway, I kind of self-identify a bit as a drag queen, because, like I said, I never really felt in line with cisgendered girls, which is, for, you know, a whole other issue. But yeah, so I kind of tend to feel like I'm faking it in this, like, you know, hyper exaggerated femme way, my ladiness.
Hence the green hair.
The green hair is just fabulous.
It is, actually.
It's just because it's miscellaneously
It brings
fierce.
your eyes out.
Oh, stop going.
Now, I heard through some grapevines that you do a fantastic version of Prince's When the Doves Cry.
How did you know that?
I do my research. We're a well-researched show.
It's yes, it's a serious version. It's a spoken word, pathos-ridden version. It's such a beautiful song.
It is a beautiful song. I once saw it done on stage by a Kiwi drag queen who did it using semaphore flags.
Ha 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 ha.
It was amazing.
It's so when like actually listen to the songs When Doves Cry, like actually concentrate on it, and it's so sparse and yeah, it's very subtle. There's not a lot going on. Have you ever listened to Britney Spears When High?
No,
Quick
never.
realize.
No,
Okay.
never. Never been high.
Have
No.
you noticed when you do that it feels like it's made in a factory? Like there's so much going on, and everything, like every bit is polished. Like every one of the 29 elements is just kind of completely rounded off and polished. It's a wonderful, interesting thing to theoretically do.
So could we get
The show.
a show? Well, I was actually going to ask for a sampling of When Doves Cry. But
No, because it needs it also requires me to stride through an audience, touching people on the face.
love tactile experiences. Okay, but the show.
Yes, the show. So it's going to be amazing. I have a very short attention span, so I have a lot of stuff, you know. So I have metronome songs, a lot of multimedia, a lot of photos, a lot of pictures, and just a lot of bits. So it's going to be really fun. Yeah.
The reviews over the last little while, and we do our research on the show, as you know, have been amazing.
Yeah, they've been good. I've been very lucky. I think because I'm a ridiculous, crazy type A personality and just like to do a lot of drafts, and yeah, apparently push myself too hard. But if I push myself too hard, I'd be, you know, an accountant, a rich accountant. But I'm not. I'm an idiot.
So how did a nice suburban idiot like you get into stand-up comedian?
Narcissism
That will do it.
and pushing my radical queer agenda.
What
So
is your
it's
radical queer agenda?
The twin pillars. Kinky, polyamory, queer,
But I've got a
pansexuality.
question for you. Why is polyamory queer?
Um,
Because you're taking polyamory and then you're putting it into the queer box.
Yeah,
Surely
yeah.
it should sit across all boxes.
Well, I take queer to embody just otherness. So polyamory is very much otherness. When I, you know, kind of come out to my friends about, you know, blah, blah, my husband, blah, blah, my girlfriend, and they ask the same silly, disrespectful questions, you know, like, oh, but what if your husband fell in love with someone else? I'm like, that'd be lovely, yay. So I take all of that to mean just other.
So here's a serious question
Serious
for you.
question. I'm a serious
If
guy.
queer for you means other, do you think the queer community itself has become more mainstream?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm going to say no, because at the comedy festival I am having a lot of issues with queer visibility at the moment. and that's something that I'm going to change next year with my empire.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us and on being on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, look out for her. There are YouTube videos. Get onto our website. We've got the links for them. They're amazing. If you want pick-up lines, look to this lady. She'll give them to you. Thank you so much. You've been watching Quedia on Ben TV. We'll be back again next week.
Thank you for watching Bent TV. We will see you next time. Feel free to drop us a line. We'd love to hear feedback. Otherwise, look forward to you same time next week.